Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Monday morning for Medicare Monday with Indiana SHIP. That's the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, where we help people understand Medicare benefits. I'm Susan, and I am joined this morning by Melanie. And we'll give a shout out to our other co-hostess who usually joins us, Megan. She's not working this morning, and we'll miss her. But we are joined by a special guest, Paul Jones. He is the manager of the National AgrAbility Project. And Paul is going to share with us what that project is and how you can access services. And we're just thrilled to have him on our program this morning. Paul, go ahead and unmute yourself. And thank you so much for joining us. Melanie and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be on today with you and share a little bit about AgrAbility and hopefully how we can help some of the people out there that might need services in agriculture that have some kind of a disability or limitation.
That's great. So what would you like to share with us about your project?
Well, I thought I'd just give you a little overview of some of the basic goals and services we provide. So if that's all right, I'll go ahead and share a brief presentation. So hopefully you're seeing that okay. Our mission at AgrAbility is essentially to help anybody that's involved in agriculture that has some type of disability or what we might call a functional limitation. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that might entail here in a minute. But, in terms of enhancing quality of life, which is part of our mission statement, that can involve a lot of different aspects of life for people that work in agriculture. Obviously, we're very concerned about their ability to continue to maintain their livelihoods through employment in agricultural production. And some of the things that might necessitate would be access to the assistive technology that would be important for them to keep doing their jobs. If they've got some kind of a disability. Some of them would need continuing rehabilitation of one type or another. And so we can point people to the resources they need in those areas. And then it's not just the people, with disabilities or limitations that need support. So we make sure that we provide some support and services for people like caregivers, that may be in a family or in another support role with people that have disabilities in agriculture. So one thing I think it's important to point out from the outset is that there's no way that we, our small staff with AgrAbility can be experts in all these areas. So I think probably the thing we're most expert at is being able to network with other organizations like SHIP and rehabilitation services and voc rehab and other agencies that can provide some of the services within the kind of our broader network. So I thought it would be important also to talk a little bit about this idea of disability in agriculture. And I think many people that hear about AgrAbility naturally assume that what we primarily deal with is people that have had farm accidents. And obviously that is, that's part of our population audience that we deal with. Agriculture is still very dangerous, even though there have been a lot of advances in terms of safety. But a lot of people we deal with have incurred, injuries that have happened off farm. Vehicular accidents can cause a lot of disabilities, spinal cord injuries, amputations, traumatic brain injuries, that type of thing. Many people in our population of AgrAbility clients don't necessarily have a traumatic injury, but they might have some type of chronic health condition. It could be arthritis, it could be back problems. Those things are very prevalent in agriculture. Other diseases, issues, could be multiple sclerosis, could be ALS. Basically, there's such a wide range of issues that can affect people. And we try to deal with those. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Another thing I think it's important to remember is the average age of farmers is over 58. So we've got a lot of issues related to aging that are relevant: mobility, vision, hearing, all kinds of things. So those are some of the causal factors of issues that our clients deal with. And I know your group has a focus on Medicare, so I think tying that into this kind of a population is important. Obviously, people with disabilities can qualify for Medicare, and so that's a significant portion of the people we work with. And then, like I say, the average age of farmers is over 58. So that means we've got a big chunk of those people that are 65 and older, even in their 80s and plus. So I think it's important also to remember that people that work in agriculture are generally often self-employed. So they don't have access to a lot of the information about insurance options, healthcare, that type of thing. So I think that's another reason why it's important that we network with organizations like yours. A little bit of history about our program. So AgrAbility is actually a program of the USDA, as opposed to being like a nonprofit organization, like Goodwill or Easter Seals or something like that. So there are various AgrAbility projects around the country, and they all started, they got their origin back in the 1990 Farm Bill, and funding actually began in 1991. So that's the history of AgrAbility itself, but it was modeled on programs like Purdue's Breaking New Ground program, which actually started way back in 1979. There was a farmer with a spinal cord injury that called Purdue back in 1979, wanted to get back into his tractor and be able to continue to do what he wanted to do. And essentially the people that responded to that call weren't sure what to do with that. So that's kind of the origins. Our project leader here at Purdue, Dr. Bill Field, started working with that particular individual and helping him, and then the project grew from that. So the AgrAbility program at the federal level actually was modeled on Purdue and a couple other programs that started earlier than that. In the beginning, there were only 8 state projects funded by USDA, and now in 2022 there are 21. So the limitation there is funding. It would be nice to have 50 all around the country that could help everybody in every state, but there's just not enough funding for that right now. And then in addition to those state projects, there's one National AgrAbility Project, and we also hold that project at Purdue. We've got an Indiana project and the National AgrAbility Project, and with our National AgrAbility Project, our main objective is to support the state projects through education, other resources, that type of thing. So we're kind of busy in terms of both providing those resources and actually providing direct services here in Indiana. I mentioned that we basically try to assist anybody in agriculture that's got any kind of a disability or functional limitation. So these are just some examples of the types of disabilities we deal with. It's definitely not an exhaustive list. There may be some of the more typical things that we deal with, like arthritis, back issues, that type of thing. I think in the beginning of the program back in the 90s, we focused more or almost exclusively on physical disabilities, but I think we're moving more toward a program where we can accommodate people that have other issues like mental or behavioral health issues. We're getting more veterans coming back interested in agriculture. Some of them might have traumatic brain injury or PTSD, so we make sure we network with veteran groups like Farmer Veteran Coalition, the VA, and other groups to help them. So again, disability can be kind of a tricky term because a lot of people in agriculture, even people with severe arthritis, it limits their ability to do things, or They might be missing, fingers or whatever, and they don't think of themselves as having a disability. So that's why the term functional limitation might be more appropriate. Basically, any kind of a limitation that keeps you from doing what you need to do or want to do in terms of your employment or other areas of life would be something that we would address. And just like disability as a broad spectrum or continuum, agriculture is the same way. And so we deal with people in any kind of agriculture also. Here in Indiana, we've got lots of corn and soybeans and some livestock. Other areas of the country, it's more focused on ranching or dairy or produce in certain areas of the country. We're getting a lot more people interested in niche markets like urban agriculture, aquaculture, hydroponics, aquaponics, even, agritourism is an area that we deal with. So again, just as disability is a wide range, we basically try to deal with everybody on that agricultural spectrum too. It's important, I think, also to mention some things that we cannot provide through our program. People contact us and some expect that we might be able to just buy them equipment or provide them with funding to start a farm or something like that. And that's just not within what we can do through our grant money. So we can't provide direct funding or direct equipment. So again, the networking is very important. We work very heavily with Indiana Vocational Rehabilitation Systems here, and they are very good in terms of working with us, and they understand the needs of our clients. So even some of the more expensive assistive technology that I'm going to show you a couple examples of is something that they're often willing to provide. Obviously, we need to be able to justify those costs, but in addition to that, some clients are able to provide part of the cost of accommodations that they need. And then we do provide resources for helping people find other funding that might be required for the technologies or other modifications that they might need. Before I go on too much farther, I wanted to point you to agrability.org, and perhaps if there's time at the end, we might take a quick look at that. But there's lots of resources if people out there are interested in more information about AgrAbility or disability in agriculture. We've got all kinds of downloadable publications. Arthritis in Agriculture is one of our more popular publications. Arthritis in Gardening, even for people that are not necessarily involved in production agriculture, they can get some good information on that. We've got more than 140 archived webinars on a wide variety of topics that people in all kinds of outdoor activities would find interesting, I think. News, and then we do have a national workshop every year, and there's information about that on our website. The most visited part of our website is actually our assistive technology database, and essentially that includes tools, other devices that could be helpful to somebody that's involved in agriculture or other outdoor activities that has some kind of a disability or limitation. Right now, we've got, just checked the other day, 1,769 different products in there right now. And I'll show you a few examples just to give you some ideas, or some little thumbnail photos here, but I'll give you a few larger examples just to show you some of those devices. These are some of the more, I guess, visible or iconic pieces of assistive technology that we would tend to deal with. People with mobility impairments of one kind or another often need some type of a lift to get them into various pieces of machinery, tractors, combines, other types of machinery like that. And that particular lift is made by a company that's just north of Lafayette. They make them in that flatbed model to get into different multiple pieces of equipment, or they can attach them directly to a piece of equipment. And we've got an example of a lift like that, not like that, but one attached to a tractor at the state fair right now if anybody makes it out to the FFA pavilion at the state fair, you can check that out and maybe take a ride. The tracked wheelchair has become very popular for people in agriculture or involved in hunting or outdoor activities. That particular one will actually stand the person up and move them into various places in all kinds of terrain. Some other devices, there are, prosthetic terminal end devices like this one that can help people with amputations, switch off the tool very easily. A lot of the devices in the toolbox are actually not specifically designed for people with disabilities. They're just handy tools, like you see a video monitor that can help somebody in a tractor or combine see what's behind them, and like they're filling up a grain truck there from a combine. So that can be helpful for somebody that has difficulty turning around because of back or mobility issues, or for don't have to get off and on to climb up and see what's in the hopper behind them. So a lot of devices like that, and then some of them are pretty low-tech devices. Like this assistive device is just basically some Velcro straps with a little area there that you can insert a handle to a rake or a hoe, or as you can see there, even a fishing rod or a golf club, or that type of thing. So it can be very, very handy and not particularly expensive for somebody that needs that type of assistance in gripping or holding on to something. So those are just a few examples. And like I said, maybe if we got time and inclination, we can take a look at that website and show you how to access some of those other tools. So that's what I had in terms of the presentation, and I'll stop sharing that. I thought it might be also nice to share kind of a video example of somebody in AgrAbility. It can show you more in terms of what this is actually like from the client's perspective. And so I asked Melody if she would share a video clip. This is actually a farmer across the line in Michigan, but it illustrates some of the things we also do in Indiana. In fact, the person that AgrAbility staff member that works with us, this person in Michigan, was actually one of our staff members quite a while ago. So I'll turn things over to Melanie then, and maybe we can take a look at that clip.
Okay, let's get that pulled up here. Give me just a second. Maybe.
I'm Doug Verhoeven from the waist down.
When Doug had his accident, it was a shockwave to the whole school. There wasn't any of us that could have put ourselves in Doug's shoes.
You wonder, how are you ever going to live again, and how are you ever going to do life again? Especially living on a farm. How would you ever do that without being able to walk and use your legs? Okay, so the lift, we're getting the power on here. We'll show you how that goes. We had to make the equipment wheelchair friendly, user friendly, in order for me to get on them. So as you'll see, kind of how we've adapted things to make that happen. Then also this gives you the freedom to work on the machine as well, and work on different things if you need to do some stuff on it and so on. Being in partnership with AgrAbility has opened up some doors as well. AgrAbility is there to help those that have become injured and those that want to continue with life. We're going to show you how we would take the gator and hook up to a wagon and move that. So we're hooked up. Now we're going to take them for a ride. Farming is expensive today, and also having a disability along with it can be expensive as well. So AgrAbility has come along to help us with some of those resources that we needed as well to be able to continue to do this. So we're thankful for that. And we unhook it right there. We pull on the rope, which releases the mechanism to unhook the wagon and drive away.
even though some things were taken away from him, he has also received, and he is willing to share those gifts with other people and show them how they can succeed and live life to its fullest, no matter what your circumstances are.
Over the years, other people that have gotten paralyzed or injured have come to the farm. Something as simple as showing them how to get on the lawnmower and cut grass. They think that when they're in the wheelchair, that's what they're confined to, and they don't know they can really do other things until you show them. And we do have a ministry called Fulfilling Life Ministries, as we share with other people as well, and host events here and so on. So if we can come alongside of someone else that's been injured, they feel like there's no hope. They feel like, where are they going to go from here? We can come alongside of them and show them that there's life, that there's a reason to get up every morning. People have given me opportunities to go places, do things, hunt and fish and farm and live life. And so I guess I always want to be able to give that back. I believe that we're blessed to be a blessing.
Forget your expensive electric bills and do this instead. Go solar with Pink Energy and get paid over $2,000 to install the newest generation of solar panels.
Okay. Can you hear me? Are we back here?
Melanie, are you selling solar panels on the side there?
Apparently, that was the little ad there that popped up at the end. So I got a sneak peek of that video before we went live, and I just really liked that story, and I think it paints a really good picture on kind of what you guys can do and how you can help individuals. So thank you for sharing that testimony with us this morning. It's a really
I think one thing important out, I think you see in the video, it's a lot of the success of anything we do is partly dependent on the attitudes of the people we work with. And I think you'll find in agriculture, you've got a lot of people that are very determined. It's not just a job, it's their way of life. They've been doing it their whole lives, and they're committed. And I think that's what makes it successful is just their ingenuity. I mean, they'll find a way to get it done, even if that equipment is not available to them. We've had people that come up with all kinds of things on their own. We just want to help them do it safely and help them not have to reinvent the wheel, learn from other people that have done the same types of things around the country. So we're thankful when we can do that.
Right. And I think that's so important when you're a resource and referral organization, that people don't have to wonder, what all is out there when they can contact AgrAbility and find out some agencies that they might receive services from. I think, like working with Medicare beneficiaries, it can be overwhelming and they don't know where to start.
Mhm.
But if they're a agricultural person with a disability, AgrAbility is a great place to start.
Yeah, I think, you don't really think about disability until it affects you. And so a lot of people we deal with are pretty lost in terms of where to go, what the resources are. And I think you probably run into that with your work too. So again, we can't answer every question about every disability or help with everything specifically. So that's why networking and being able to refer people and knowing what's out there. I think that's probably one of the reasons why our toolbox is successful in terms of people just wanting to know what's available. They can get on there anytime of the day, any place. We get a lot of people viewing that from other countries just to get ideas. And so we're thankful to have that resource available too.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have one question that I was texted. Are wineries considered agricultural businesses? And so if someone who runs a winery has a disability, they could reach out to AgrAbility?
Sure. Yeah. Our focus is primarily on people in production agriculture. And so you're producing a crop and you're actually, it's what we call a value added crop. You're not just producing corn or soybeans and selling it. You're taking a crop and you're adding value to it by turning it into wine. And the same thing is true with, people that for example, might raise fruits or vegetables and make jams or whatever and that type of thing. So yeah, if you're involved in any kind of agricultural business like that, we can definitely provide services. And the types of services I should have probably gone into a little bit more. That can vary depending on the need. Many times, what we want to do and need to do is an actual on-site assessment. So we've got staff members that can go out to your enterprise, farm or winery or whatever, and see what you're dealing with. It's much more helpful than you just describing it. We need to see what the terrain is, what the actual tasks are. I mean, you're having to prune 100 vines a day or something like that, where you would benefit from some kind of a powered clipper, or is it an issue with getting around, mobility? And so yeah, the on-site visits are very important. In some cases, it's not as complicated. We might refer you to another agency, but when it's necessary, we can make those visits.
Great. Well, that kind of goes along with one of the questions we got asked to us on our comments here in our live video. One of our coworkers is watching this morning, Sean. She's one of our top fans on here. So thanks for being on today, Sean. But she asked kind of what some of the eligibility requirements, which I kind of feel like this is probably a more in-depth question, because it does seem like there's some information and referral, but I was also kind of curious. I know you have a great online resources, but just kind of how someone would start the process. I'm a farmer's daughter, so I know that pride is a big deal when it comes to farming, and sometimes it can be the hardest part can just be getting started. So if you could just kind of walk us through that.
Right. Yeah. So there's all kinds of ways people can connect with us. The website is a good place to go for just some basic information. And with that, there's listings of our 800 number, which is 800-825-4264. And so you can call us directly on that 800-9. On the website, there's a contact us form if you'd rather contact us that way. And sometimes it's not necessarily the person that needs the services that does that. It might be a spouse or somebody else in the family that wants just some basic information. And then we're out and about, like at the state fair right now. People can come up and talk to us. We're at various farm shows and other things like that. In terms of, we don't have real strict eligibility. Like I say, it really varies in terms of what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
We do have, I would say, we have quite a few people that come up and say, I'm not doing anything in agriculture right now. I want to start a farm. Can you help me get some funding to start a farm? What we can do in that case is point you to groups like the Farm Service Agency and other groups that can provide loans and funding. But in those cases, we're not going to be able to obviously do an on-site visit since there's no enterprise or whatever. Basically, if you've got some kind of functional limitation and you work in some kind of agricultural enterprise, that's pretty much our eligibility. And even if you're not in production agriculture, like I say, we've got resources like things for gardening, and our toolbox has a whole section on gardening and lawn care. We can at least point you to the resources that might benefit you.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to check out that toolbox. That just seems like such a neat resource and tool, if you will, and kind of just an alternative way to think about things too. I know I, grew up in a farming community, and sometimes just knowing that there may be a way to help you do something more efficiently, or an injury prevention, way to do things can always just kind of, just help in general in all situations, whether there's a disability or not involved. So
I've personally bought probably 10 or 15 things that we listed in that toolbox just because they're handy. And like I
Yeah.
said, probably 80+% are not specifically designed for somebody with a disability. We do obviously have things like the heavy duty wheelchairs and the lifts and prosthetic devices, but anything that can limit strain on people's joints. So we've got a lot of handy power tools, other things that would work in the shop, or like I say, lawn care and gardening, ergonomic tools, raised beds ideas. And we don't sell them out of that toolbox. We provide a photo and a video if it's available, description, and then we point you to the people that can actually sell the thing to you. So it's really handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think of course I'm thinking of the insurance side of this as you're talking about the durable medical equipment and the wheelchairs and things like that. And so does your program help individuals kind of navigate how to get that process started on getting, a wheelchair approved or paid for, or just kind of where to go?
Yeah, that's really important in terms of, like I say, people that are new to disability and have no idea how to navigate those waters. We work with, again, heavily with Indiana Vocational Rehabilitation, because their job is to help people either gain or maintain employment if they've got disability, and they can provide that funding. So they're one of the agencies we work with heavily. We subcontract, and that's an actual requirement of the AgrAbility grants from USDA. Your grant is held by a land grant university like Purdue, but you have to subcontract with at least one nonprofit disability services organization. So right now we're partnering with Easter Seals Crossroads in Indianapolis, which is a major rehabilitation facility that has its own set of networks and resources. So, for example, they have the Indiana Assistive Technology Act program. They can lend out assistive technology to people. They've got a huge library of that type of technology they hand out, or loan out. They've got computer research, reuse programs. So we do rely on organizations like that. Arthritis Foundation, if people need help with that. Centers for Independent Living. Again, networking is huge for us.
Right, and we thank you for including us in your network of partners, and we're grateful that you are in ours too. I think it's 10:33. We may have 5 minutes or so if we want to check out your website.
Okay. I can try to pull that up. You can let me know if it's successful here.
All right.
Yeah. And we had lots of folks just say hello, and some comments on here on our video, just saying that this is a great program, and the questions that we've gotten, you've answered. So I think we're pretty good there. So yeah.
And Sean, I'm sure her interest was especially piqued. Her husband is a farmer.
Okay.
They live on a farm, and farmers know farmers. And so I think word of mouth about resources is super important.
You're right. Yeah, that's definitely the case. Are you able to see the website now?
It looks good. Yeah. We like taking field trips onto websites.
Yeah. So we just upgraded this to a new version, and you can find out basic information about the program. And there's some of the main links here. And I would just point out, here's one to the toolbox and also to our training and events. We've got specific resources for veterans and beginning farmers. So I'll just show you real quick our training and events. We've got both in person and online. And so if you went to the online, you'd be able to find out about our upcoming webinars and then our archived webinars and all these different categories. You could pull up anywhere from assistive technology to behavior and mental health issues. And then just a quick trip to the toolbox. The main way to find things, I think, is through, you can search if you know a specific product, but if you just wanted to look through, we've got all these different categories, and depending on what you're interested in, Just pick a category, and then it's got subcategories like outdoor mobility. If you can walk and navigate, that's one thing. If you need a wheelchair, this is kind of an interesting area, the personal mobility vehicles. And like these non-conventional powered mobility vehicles, there's all kinds of different things out there that people might not have thought of, like this Hex Hog. It's actually made in England, and it's a 6-wheeled wheelchair that can navigate all kinds of different types of terrain. But anyway, some of the things that people might be interested in, like I said, gardening is popular with everybody, I think, well, a lot of people. And so we've got all kinds of things about different types of beds and gardening tools and accessories. So there's ergonomic hand tools, people with low vision, different sprayers, ways to water without having to necessarily carry heavy buckets of water, that type of thing. So then I think it's important for people that may be tuning in from other areas of the country. We do have a map. So even if you don't have an AgrAbility project in your state, you can still get information. The yellow are the currently funded projects. Light gray are projects that were funded in the past and are still providing some services. And the dark gray either never had an AgrAbility project or had one in the past, but they're not continuing to provide services. So if you wanted to get assistance in Indiana, you could click on that state, and then it would tell you, the main project staff. If you were calling or looking from another state like Arkansas that doesn't have a project, what it would do would be to give you options about contacting the National AgrAbility Project, and then give you different organizations in the state that might be able to help. So just a brief overview. And again, I'd invite people to spend a little time looking through there. And I think there's something for just about everybody that does anything outside or even in a shop. Like I say, the shop tools can be a very helpful section of that toolbox just for ergonomic devices. So I will stop sharing with that and let people, if they'd like to go to agrability.org to do some more investigating on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend that is an activities director at a assisted living facility. So not farm related, but when you mentioned the gardening, they looked up different tutorials online on doing the raised garden beds where individuals in wheelchairs could go and tend to the crops, the plants and everything.
Right.
So it's just kind of, I'm sure that Toolbox has things for everybody and just different tutorials. I know my generation, we hop on YouTube to learn how to do something. Right. So it's kind of nice
and
to
we
have that.
Yeah, we have links to a lot of YouTube videos on that so people can see what the product's like in action. And it's helpful to be able to, we give a description, but to actually see it work is pretty helpful too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, seeing it work is very helpful for those of us who don't have a lot of patience looking at YouTube videos or reading instructional manuals. Well, Paul, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing the information about AgrAbility and really showing us your website too. It's so well laid out and so easy to use. So I think, like you said, there's something for everybody. I'll be checking out the gardening tools for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time and for your partnership. And I will definitely come see you at the State Fair in the FFA Future Farmers of America building. And you should come and see us. We are in the Family Arts building right next to the Hooks Drug Store. So check out our ship booth as well. And I will, another shout out, Paul has also agreed to have our ship information at his booth in the FFA building. So we really appreciate that because I think we serve a lot of the same people.
All right. Well, thank you again for letting me share today, and we appreciate collaborating with you guys and hope to continue to do that in the future.
Yeah, great. I'm looking forward to it. And I know everybody else is too, Melanie and our other coworkers. So just hang with us for a second, Paul. Melanie's going to tell us about what's coming up on Wednesday, being the second Wednesday of the month already, and for the rest of the month. Melanie, what do you want to share?
Okay, absolutely. Well, I was just going to add real quick, we will put the website link to AgrAbility and the toll-free number on the comments here. So just so that you can get a hold of them if you need to, or just inquire or look at that toolbox, give Susan some gardening tips. All right. So yes, like Susan mentioned, it is the second Wednesday, which means it's time for What to Know Wednesday. So we'll be back here on the 10th this week to celebrate National Health Center Week. So we will be featuring a few special guests. We have some of our SHIP counselors from HealthLink joining us, whom work at one of our health centers here in Indiana. And then we'll also be featuring a special guest speaker, Jenny Walden, with the Indiana Primary Health Care Association, which just like SHIP, it's a word full, so we call that IFCA. So we will be we'll be talking with them and kind of celebrating that National Health Center Week. And we're really excited to do so just because we have a lot of health centers that reach a lot of Hoosiers statewide and partner with SHIP. And we have a lot of our healthcare navigators that are also SHIP counselors. So we're really excited to spotlight some of those individuals and just kind of share with you guys more about those programs and the availability and all of the wonderful resources that they offer. So we're excited. And then we're going to continue our month with our Medicare Monday. So we've got 3 more this month. We're going to do a meet and greet with Lori Powers from Indiana Senior Medicare Patrol. She's one of their newest education and outreach associates. And then we're going to talk, we've got to have an insurance topic. So we're going to talk about our insurance agent do's and don'ts, which is really timely coming up with the fall open enrollment period, just so that you're kind of aware of what people can do and can't do and things to just kind of watch out for and just know your rights and that kind of thing. So we'll be doing that. And then we're going to do a meet and greet with one of our newest employees at Indiana SHIP, Michelle. She's our public outreach counselor. So we'll be learning more about Michelle and what her role is here at Indiana SHIP. So we're excited about August and just kind of a fun time to do these presentations before we get really busy with our open enrollment. So we're excited and we hope to see you guys at our future presentations. And we're really glad that you joined us today. And again, a huge thank you to Paul as well. And I definitely learned some things. And coming from being raised on a farm myself, you know, I'm probably going to look up that and I might annoy my own dad with some of those tips and things, which I'm sure it won't be an annoyance. It'll be an appreciation. I hope so. All right, guys. Well, thanks again and happy Monday. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. Happy Monday.